Hello, and thanks for tuning in. In this video, I'm going to touch on some of the basic questions many people have when it comes to the logistics of full-time travel, including but not limited to receiving mail, having a legal permanent address, obtaining a driver's license, registering your vehicle, and homeschooling for those with school-age children. I hope this information will be helpful to the majority of those who are either thinking about full-time travel or those who are seeking answers to questions surrounding the topic. Disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer or a travel expert, so please do your own research before making any decisions for yourself. This video is simply to give insight as to what our experience has been and what our research has taught us living full-time on the road, and is no way intended to serve as legal advice. Everyone's scenario will likely be a little bit different than the next, so please be sure to do your own research and figure out what will work best for you. So, you want to travel full-time or for an indefinite period of time, but you're concerned about the logistics of it all, like how will I get my mail and where do I call home, right? Well, don't fret, there are answers. Most of these questions you have will likely revolve around one important choice. Where will your legal permanent address now be if you no longer maintain a fixed home? If you intend to keep your home in whichever state you are leaving, then pay no attention. This video is not for you. However, if you're like us and you sold everything, including your home, undoubtedly you will need a new address for all sorts of legal things, including, but not limited to, getting a driver's license, registering your vehicle, filing for a passport, conducting banking, credit card billing address, insurance for both auto and health, if desired, and for filing taxes. So now what? Well, you need to familiarize yourself with one important term: domicile. Domicile is different than residency, and that when you establish domicile in a certain state, you are basically establishing your intent to permanently make that place your home when you're done traveling. This is what makes it legal to call a certain state home without actually physically being there in person all the time. A New York appeals court defined it as such, quote, "Residence means living in a particular locality, but domicile means living in that locality with intent to make it a fixed and permanent home. Residence simply requires bodily presence as an inhabitant in a given place, while domicile requires bodily presence in that place and also an intention to make it one's domicile." Purchasing insurance, switching banking account institutions, registering your vehicle, registering to vote, getting a state-issued driver's license, purchasing land, all of these things help to prove your case of domicile. You basically want to cut ties from your old state, giving them no further reason to claim you as a resident. Think about it. States are competing for you, just like any other business. They want your revenue, they want your taxes, they want your numbers for representation. If your old state still sees evidence that they can claim you, your domicile might be questioned in the future. Now, each state will likely define bodily presence differently. This is where you must do your own research to figure out which state is right for you. Along with that, there are other factors that you should consider when choosing a domicile state that may affect your decision. This may include the vehicle registration process, the fees and the renewal frequency, vehicle inspection and emission test requirements, requirements to obtaining a driver's license and how often you have to renew, and how long do you even have to be present in that state before you're eligible for a driver's license, auto and health insurance rates and availability, the voting laws, can you submit an absentee ballot, tax laws, consider taxation income, dividends, retirement proceeds, capital gains, and non-earned income, property taxes, homeschooling laws for those with children, inheritance laws, and jury duty obligations. With that being said, there's 3 states that most nomads commonly narrow it down to. When taking all of these outlying factors into consideration, South Dakota, Texas, and Florida have the most nomad-friendly laws. For our family, South Dakota checks all the boxes. So for the rest of this video, I'll only be going over South Dakota specifics. For other state requirements, please look into those separately. There are tons of articles and forums, videos, and other tutorials at your fingertips with a simple Google search. So, now you've chosen South Dakota as your domicile state. What's next? Well, let's outline the process needed to legally obtain a physical mailing address, a driver's license, registering your vehicle, and look into South Dakota Homeschool Requirements if you have school-age kids. Your first step, establish your physical mailing address. There are several ways to go about this. Number one, the simplest method is to buy land or property in South Dakota, pending you have the funds. This can serve as your home base, and you have a physical mailing address. Done. Simple. However, if you're like most people and can't outright buy land just like that, the second option you have is to ask a friend or family member if you can live with them in South Dakota, legally speaking. Perhaps they may have you sign a lease that is legally binding and will make you an official tenant. Your third and most commonly chosen route is to sign up with a mail forwarding service. There are several companies out there that offer similar services. Some offer more in-depth services like handling your vehicle registration, helping with your insurance coverage. They may have their own campground, and they may have some full-time travel advice. Note, some of these companies, however, are specific to certain states only. However, they should all be able to give you a real address, not a P.O. box, and that will now serve as your new mailing address. As a family, we have chosen America's Mailbox, which is located just outside Rapid City in South Dakota. Now, I'm not going to go over each service that's out there, but I will mention just a few others that you might want to look into. There's Traveling Mailbox, Escapees, Texas Home Base, and of course, America's Mailbox. Signing up with America's Mailbox was really quick and easy for us. You can do the quick sign up on their website, or you could download the full application packet on their website and send back the necessary documents via email or snail mail. Once they had our information, it was only a 24-hour turnaround before they accepted us. Now, there's different membership levels to choose from at America's Mailbox, each with their own price tag. Each level offers something different than the next, and it can cater to the most basic of plans to the all-inclusive business plan that features scanning. Our family chose the Gold plan. That clocks in at $189.99 per year, plus tax, with a one-time $25 startup fee. You as the plan owner are responsible for preloading your postage funds, and the suggested amount ranges anywhere from $100 to $200 a year. This is going to vary, of course, depending on how often, when, where you want your mail sent. So once you're a member, then they'll issue you a PMB, or a personal mailbox number, and this is what's going to serve as your new mailing address. Step 2. Stay 24 hours in the state. South Dakota requires a minimum of 24 hours to get a driver's license. This can be at a local campground, a hotel, or a resort. You will need to save your receipt of stay, and that has to have the address and date on it where you stayed. The one convenient feature about America's Mailbox is that they have their own campground, and that's the same address that's going to go on your license. So it's just a nice little touch when you go to the DMV to have all your paperwork and your ducks in a row. One thing to note here, when applying for a driver's license, if you choose to live with a family member or a friend, you're going to have to complete a consent for use of South Dakota address form. This can be found on their government website, found here. And don't worry, for all the documents that we list in this video, we'll link down in the video description below. Step number 3. Now you're ready to get your driver's license. This can be done at any DMV in the state. Take note, the DMV offices are closed weekends and on Monday. Check the current requirements to visit the DMV. At the time of making this video, you must make an appointment online because of COVID, and many places are booked out 30 to 45 days in advance. While we were told they would not accept walk-ins at any location, we actually took a chance after we had heard some hearsay, and we walked in at the Rapid City location. To our delight, they took us in as a walk-in, and we were out within 30 or 45 minutes. So to make an appointment, you have several options. You can either email for an appointment listed down here below. You can call this number. It's a statewide number, however, and it's listed in Central Time Zone, so just take note when you're calling, what time it is. Or you can reserve one online here at the Department of Public Safety website. As you can see, there are many locations to choose from, but also take note, not all of them are exam centers, and some are only open 1 or 2 days out of the week with limited hours. However, if all you're doing is simply transferring your out-of-state license to South Dakota, any DMV will do. You don't need an exam station. So when making an appointment online, this is a little misleading because the only ones that they allow you to choose from are the exam stations. Now, if you're intending to apply for a CDL license, for example, then you would need an exam license. However, for most people that are probably watching this video, all you want to do is transfer your out-of-state license. Any location will do. So, now you either have an appointment and/or you're going to try your luck as a walk-in. Here's the really important stuff that you need to make sure you have in hand. Gather these necessary documents and make sure that they're all original. You will need your current license. If you don't already have a real ID designated by a little gold star in the upper corner, you're going to need to show proof of your Social Security number. Accepted documents may include your original Social Security card, your W-2, your 1099, or a pay stub, all showing your full Social Security number. Now take note, if you choose to show a W-2, I believe it was year 2020 that they stopped showing the full social on there. So I believe any year will do, as long as it has your full name and your full Social Security on there. Copies or electronic forms of these documents will not be accepted. Secondly, you're going to need a second form of ID, such as a passport. Other accepted forms can be found on their website, located here. You'll need receipt of your minimum 24-hour stay. It's got to have your name and the address at which you stayed on it, including the date. You'll need your document and/or receipt proving your PMB address. Virtual mailboxes or virtual post addresses are not accepted. You'll then be expected to pass a vision test, pay a $28 fee, and you'll have to sign a residency affidavit form there in front of them, and that basically states that you do not hold residency in any other state and that you intend to return to South Dakota when you are done traveling. At this time, you may also register to vote, optional of course, but this will help to establish your domicile in South Dakota. You'll need to renew your license every 5 years and are required to stay a minimum of 24 hours within the preceding year of that renewal. Receipt of stay may be required to renew, however, renewals can be completed online. So now you got your license, great. The fourth step is to register your vehicle. You don't need a South Dakota license to register your vehicle, but it does make the process easier. South Dakota separates vehicle registration from licensing, and this is handled at the local county treasury office, not at the DMV. So you have several options on how to register your vehicle. Your first option is to walk in. There's no appointment needed for this. However, you will need to go to your local county treasury office. As mentioned before, this is the one that your address is located in. You'll need to be prepared with the following paperwork. The original title in hand if you own your vehicle. If you don't own your vehicle, additional paperwork will be required and will likely prolong the process. The title application, which can be found here, and you'll need your current license. Now, registration fees are determined based on the weight of your vehicle in South Dakota. Therefore, you're going to have to show some type of proof of vehicle weight. They will not accept gross vehicle weight, but instead require what is known as the shipping weight, UVW, or unladen weight. Normally, this information can be found on the VIN sticker or perhaps in the owner's manual. However, if you're like us and you either built out your rig or had it done professionally, you might need to take your vehicle to a weigh station to get the actual weight of your vehicle. Now, Be smart and make sure it's the dry weight. Don't load it up with food. Make sure your water tanks are empty, your gray tanks and your black tanks, everything's empty. That's what they're looking for. Most truck stops offer this service on their CAT scales, and you'll have to save that receipt to provide proof to the local county treasury's office of what the weight of your vehicle is. Now take note, most traditional RVs like fifth wheels or travel trailers will likely have this information already printed on the sticker. We're just in a unique situation where we built out our van, so that information of course wasn't readily available. Luckily, we had a CAT scale on hand already from back in October of 2020 when we weighed the van after we were done with it, and that served as proof. If you don't want to walk in and handle this, your other option is to mail in your paperwork. Now this is another nice feature about some mail forwarding services. They'll handle all the paperwork for you. Of course, it'll cost you an additional fee, but America's Mailbox does offer this service. If you choose to handle mailing in paperwork yourself, be prepared to provide the same paperwork as you were if you were to walk in the office. And that's it. 4 steps, and now you're actually considered a resident of South Dakota. Now, let's talk about homeschooling for just a second. We have 2 small kids, ages 7 and 5, and we, of course, are homeschooling. So, for South Dakota, at the time of this video, at the beginning of June 2021, to register your child as a homeschooler, it's actually fairly simple, requiring the following: an annual notification form of exemption from public school attendance. This can be found down here, and that's submitted to the public school district office where you hold residence. There's no requirement to be a certified instructor, but you can't instruct more than 22 students, which I don't think will be a problem. You must test in grades 4, 8, and 11, and you must provide a copy of the child's birth certificate. However, here's the good news. Earlier this year in South Dakota, the governor signed Senate Bill 177, which goes into effect July 1st, 2021. And this is something that's good news to those who choose to homeschool in South Dakota. The new homeschooling requirements no longer require testing at any grade level. They no longer require annual notification for exemption of public school attendance, but rather only a one-time notification needed. And no longer do you have to provide your birth certificate either. Now, if you're going to stay in South Dakota for an extended period of time too, the new laws actually make it easier for kids to participate in public school sporting events as well. So to recap what we said here, in order to establish your domicile in South Dakota, it's fairly simple. You just have to have your ducks in a row. Make sure you have your necessary documents in hand and make sure they're all original. Step 1, you have to get your physical mailing address. Step 2, you need to stay 24 hours and save your receipt. It's got to have that address and the date on it. Step 3, go to the DMV, get your license. Make sure you have all the necessary documents. Like I said, they've got to be original documents. And step 4, register your vehicle. And then you're done. And that's it. I hope you guys found this information very helpful. Please don't hesitate to reach out, drop us a comment down below. Please like and subscribe to our videos for more helpful content when it comes to full-time travel. Again, you'll find all the links to the documents down here in the video description, so if you missed something beforehand, don't worry, we've got all the links down below. Thanks again for watching. Please share this with somebody if you think that they might benefit from it. We'll catch you guys on down the road.